Lessons on harmony from the Zacks. Let me begin with these words from the prophet Isaiah. Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past. See, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs up. Do you not perceive it? God is always moving forward, always doing something new. But sometimes we get stuck. We cling to the way things used to be, or we hide parts of ourselves, afraid of what others might think. And when that happens, we lose harmony. As a mother of two small children, my daughter who's 6 and my son who's 4, I have grown to love children's books. They shape our imagination and help us see truth in simple ways. We know the classics, Brown Bear, Where the Wild Things Are, Chicka Chicka Boom Boom, The Very Hungry Caterpillar. But no one has shaped children's imagination quite like Dr. Seuss. And as I reflected on harmony, one of his stories came to mind, the Zacks. One day, making tracks in the prairie of tracks, came a north-going Zacks and a south-going Zacks. And it happened that both of them came to a place where they bumped. There they stood, foot to foot, face to face. Look here now, the north-going Zack said. I say, you are blocking my path. You are right in my way. I'm a north-going Zax, and I always go north. Get out of my way now and let me go forth. Who's in whose way? Snapped the south-going Zax. I always go south, making south-going tracks. So you're in my way, and I ask you to move and let me go south in my south-going groove. Then the north-going Zax puffed his chest up with pride. I never, he said, take a step to one side, and I'll prove to you that I won't change my ways if I have to keep standing here 59 days. And I'll prove to you, yelled the south-going Zax, that I can stand here in the prairie of tracks for 59 years. For I live by a rule that I learned as a boy back in south-going school. Never budge. That's my rule. Never budge in the least. Not an inch to the west, not an inch to the east. I'll stay here, not budging. I can and I will. And if it makes you and me and the whole world stand still. Well, of course, the world didn't stand still. The world grew. In a couple of years, the new highway came through and they built it right over those two stubborn Zacks and left them there, standing unbudged in their tracks. On the surface, it's a silly story. Two creatures, one going north and one going south, who bump into each other and refuse to move. Each insists, I've always gone this way and I always will. So they stay chest to chest, frozen in their standoff while the world moves on. Roads are built, people pass by, life keeps going, but they remain stuck. This is a picture of what happens when we cannot find harmony. So let's unpack what's happening here. Conflict is inevitable. It is inevitable that we will bump into people along our path. Harmony doesn't mean avoiding conflict. It means learning how to move through it without getting stuck. Secondly, the need to prove ourselves. Both Zacks felt they had something to prove. Each one believed that stepping aside would make them less. And isn't that why we sometimes dig in our heels? Because we think compromise threatens our worth or dignity. But our value is not in winning standoffs. Our worth is already given in Christ. The illusion of control. The Zacks assumed their standoff was more essential than the purpose of the world. as if their disharmony would stop everything. But it did not. Life kept moving. Roads were built. Psalm 33:11 reminds us, the plans of the Lord stand firm forever. Life moves forward anyway. Their disharmony didn't stop the world, and it didn't stop God. Disharmony may stall us, but it never stalls God's kingdom. The question is, will we stay stuck or will we join God's forward motion? See, what keeps the Zach stuck is not just stubbornness, it's nostalgia. Svetlana Boym, a cultural scholar, once wrote that nostalgia is a longing for a home that no longer exists, or maybe never existed. It's a selective kind of memory, remembering only what we want to remember while ignoring the rest. She describes two kinds of nostalgia. Restorative nostalgia. This is the kind that wants to rebuild the past exactly as it was. It takes itself very seriously. This is the Zax clinging to the way it's always been. And then there's reflective nostalgia. This kind remembers the past with tenderness, but also accepts that we can't go back. Instead, it carries the beauty and lessons forward into something new. And haven't we all felt this way? People who say music was so much better back in my day, but forget that every generation feels that way. Someone who misses their first job or early career, the friendships, the excitement, but forgets how stressful it was to make ends meet. People who talk about high school or college as the best years, but leave out the awkwardness, the insecurities, or late night cramming, or even whole communities longing for the way things used to be while overlooking that those same days weren't good for everyone. That's restorative nostalgia, building a fantasy of the past that never fully existed. But reflective nostalgia, on the other hand, allows us to remember with honesty. It says, yes, that season shaped me. Yes, I miss parts of it, but I can't go back. I can carry the beauty forward while still opening myself to the new thing God is doing now. And that's where harmony can grow. So from the Zacks, I see three shifts that help us to reclaim harmony. We have to move from stubbornness to curiosity. Instead of saying, I've always gone this way and I always will, we can ask, what can I learn here? Harmony begins with holy curiosity. We have to move from proving to resting in identity. Instead of fighting to prove we matter, we can rest in the truth that we are already beloved in Christ. We have to move from pride to trusting God's movement. Instead of thinking everything depends on us, we can trust that God is moving forward with or without us. These shifts free us from nostalgia that traps us in the past and open us up to God's new thing. So, what is harmony? Harmony is not just about getting along. Harmony is alignment with God, within ourselves, and one another. The Apostle Paul says it this way in Philippians 3, chapter 3, 13 through 14. Forgetting what lies behind and straining forward to what lies ahead, I press on toward the goal to win the prize for which God has called me. Harmony is forward motion. So let me ask you, where might nostalgia be keeping you stuck like the Zags? Where are you tempted to say, it's always been this way and it always will be? And where might you need to let go to trust that God is still moving forward? Romans 12:18 says, if it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. Harmony is not the absence of conflict. Harmony is the courage to move with God's spirit, scars and all, and to join in the new thing God is making. Thank you.